All right, so have you ever felt like you're just stuck, stuck in that daily grind?
Yeah, I know that feeling. Like you're on a treadmill going nowhere, working, 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 but for what?
Exactly. That's what we're diving into today. This whole idea of escaping that 9 to 5 grind.
Is it even possible?
Well, that's the question, right? And that's why we're taking a deep dive into the 4-Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferriss.
Oh, that's a classic. I remember when that book first came out. It really shook things up.
It did. And it's still so relevant today, even more so with remote work and all that.
Absolutely.
So Ferriss basically throws down this challenge, right? He
Mm.
says, why wait for retirement to live your dreams? Why put off all the good stuff until you're like 65?
Yeah, he calls it the deferred life plan and argues it's a trap.
Totally. Like, what if you could design your dream lifestyle now, not just in some far-off future?
That's a powerful idea, but how do you actually do that? Where do you even start?
Well, that's where Ferriss's deal framework comes in. Yeah, it stands for definition, elimination, automation, and liberation.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's break that down.
Awesome. So first up is definition. This is all about getting crystal clear on what your ideal lifestyle actually looks like.
Right, because it's not just about working less, it's about working smartly on the things that truly matter to you.
Exactly. So let's start with that first D, definition. What does Ferriss actually mean by defining your ideal lifestyle?
Well, he pushes you to think beyond just surface level desires. Like, yeah, private island sounds nice, but what are your core values? What truly brings you joy and a sense of purpose?
Yeah, that's deeper. It's about figuring out what kind of work energizes you, what activities make you feel most alive.
Exactly. And Ferriss argues that once you have those priorities nailed down, you can start building a life that reflects them.
Makes sense. So once you've got that vision in mind, then how do you actually break free from the grind to make it happen?
That's where the E for elimination comes in.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, Ferriss is a big believer in the 80-20 principle. You know, the idea that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
So he believes most of us are wasting tons of time on low-impact tasks that don't really move the needle.
So it's about identifying those tasks and just cutting them out.
Exactly. And he has some pretty radical ideas about what to eliminate.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, think about how much time you spend on email every day. Ferriss suggests checking email only twice a day at specific times.
Whoa, only twice a day.
Hmm.
That sounds tough. I feel like I'm constantly checking my inbox.
I know, right? It's a hard habit to break, but think about all the time you'd save if you weren't constantly interrupting your workflow to respond to every message as it comes in.
True. I guess you could really get into a flow state if you weren't constantly switching tasks.
Exactly. And that flow state is where the real magic happens, both in terms of productivity and creativity.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all fits together. So
Hmm.
we've defined our ideal lifestyle and eliminated distractions. What's next?
A for automation.
Automation. Interesting.
This is where Ferriss gets really creative. He encourages you to look for all those tasks in your work and life that can be streamlined, outsourced, or even fully automated.
Okay, like what kind of tasks are we talking about here?
Well, think about things like scheduling appointments, managing email, researching information, even handling social media.
Wait, you're telling me I can automate all of that?
Well, maybe not all of it, but a good chunk of it for sure. There are tons of affordable resources and platforms for finding virtual assistants or freelancers who specialize in these sorts of tasks.
Huh, I guess I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. They think, oh, that's only for big companies or super wealthy people, but it's really not.
So where would someone even start with something like that?
Well, platforms like Upwork or Fiverr are great places to find freelancers.
Okay, I'll have to check those out.
Yeah, do it. The key is to identify those tasks that are just eating up your time and that don't require your unique skills. You know, things you could easily hand off to someone else.
That makes sense. So I'm sensing a theme here. Like, this is all about freeing up your time and energy for the things that really matter.
You got it. And that leads perfectly into the L for liberation.
Okay, liberation. This sounds exciting. What does Ferriss mean by that in the context of work?
It's all about breaking free from the traditional office setting and embracing location independence. You know, with technology making remote work so much easier these days, you could theoretically work from anywhere with a decent internet connection.
Whoa, work from anywhere. Like imagine running your business from a beach in Bali or a cafe in Paris. That sounds amazing.
Right. It's a pretty powerful idea, and it's becoming more and more possible for people in all sorts of fields.
I bet there are some challenges with that kind of lifestyle too, right? Like,
Yeah.
How do you deal with time zone differences or maintain a healthy work-life balance when your office is also your living room?
Oh, you're absolutely right. Location independence isn't a magical solution. It definitely takes discipline, strong communication skills, and the ability to set boundaries.
That makes sense. It's
Mhm.
not just about sipping cocktails on the beach all day.
Definitely not. But Ferriss offers some specific strategies for dealing with those challenges.
Like what?
Well, for example, he talks about using tools like Slack for asynchronous communications, so you're not constantly on call. And he emphasizes the importance of setting up dedicated workspaces, even in a small apartment, to maintain those boundaries between work and life.
Okay, so that's location independence. But Ferris also challenges this traditional idea of when you take breaks, right?
Yeah, he's a big advocate for what he calls mini retirements.
Mini retirements. Explain that a little bit because it seems counterintuitive to take extended breaks throughout your career, rather than just waiting for retirement.
It does seem a little strange, especially in a culture that's all about the hustle and delaying gratification until some distant future.
Yeah, like you work hard now and then you can finally relax and enjoy life when you're retired. But that could be decades away.
Exactly. And Ferriss argues that constantly pushing off your dreams until some far-off future can lead to burnout and missed opportunities.
Makes sense.
Instead, he suggests weaving these mini retirements, extended periods of travel, exploration, or pursuing passions into your life now while you're still young and energetic.
So like taking a sabbatical or a long trip every few years, is that what we're talking about here?
Exactly. He argues it allows you to recharge, gain new skills and perspectives, and return to your work with a renewed sense of energy and focus.
I like that. I was talking to a woman recently who took a 3-month mini retirement to hike the Appalachian Trail.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. And she said it was the most challenging and rewarding experience of her life.
I can imagine.
She came back feeling totally re-energized and with a whole new perspective on her career and life goals.
That's a perfect example of how mini retirements can be about so much more than just escaping work. They can be opportunities for growth, self-discovery, and reevaluating your priorities.
I like that. So we've covered defining your ideal lifestyle, eliminating distractions, automating tasks, embracing location independence, and mini retirements. Anything else we need to build that 4-hour workweek life?
One more big piece, creating passive income streams.
Okay, passive income. I gotta be honest, that term always makes me a little skeptical. It sounds a bit too good to be true, doesn't it?
It can definitely sound like a get-rich-quick scheme, but Ferriss is clear that building sustainable passive income takes work and careful planning.
Okay, that makes sense. So what are some examples of passive income streams? What's he talking about?
Well, he provides several examples in the book, like selling digital products or online courses, investing in dividend-paying stocks, or even creating and licensing your own intellectual property.
So it's about setting things up that generate income without you needing to be actively involved all the time.
Exactly. It's about building systems that work for you, even while you're off traveling, pursuing passions, or just enjoying your free time.
I've actually started experimenting with creating some online courses based on my design skills.
That's awesome.
It's definitely not a set it and forget it situation, but it's been super rewarding to share my knowledge with others and generate income from something I'm passionate about.
That's fantastic. And it highlights a really important point. Passive income still requires effort, especially in the initial setup phase.
Right, you don't just magically start making money without doing anything.
Exactly. But once you have a system in place, it can provide a steady stream of income, which gives you more financial freedom and flexibility.
I like it. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Ferriss's deal framework is all about defining your ideal lifestyle, eliminating distractions, automating tasks, embracing location independence and mini retirements, and generating passive income. It's a lot to take in.
It is, but it's a powerful toolkit for designing a life that aligns with your values and priorities. It's about taking control.
Absolutely. So before we wrap up, what are a few practical tips from the book that our listeners can implement, like today, to start moving towards a more fulfilling and flexible lifestyle?
Well, one of my favorites is this idea of batching similar tasks together.
Batching.
Yeah. So instead of constantly switching between writing emails, making phone calls, working on a presentation, you dedicate specific blocks of time to each activity.
Oh, interesting. So like focusing on email for an hour, then switching to writing for a couple of hours and so on.
Exactly. It really increases your focus and efficiency because you're not constantly task switching and losing that flow state.
That makes a lot of sense. I know for me, when I'm constantly getting interrupted by notifications and switching between tasks, I feel so much less productive by the end of the day.
Totally. And another super simple but effective tip is to limit your time spent in meetings.
Oh, yeah, meetings can be such a time suck.
They can. So, Ferriss recommends that before you accept any meeting invitation, ask yourself if it's truly necessary. Could it be handled in an email or a quick phone call?
That's such a good point. I'm definitely guilty of saying yes to too many meetings.
I think a lot of us are. But being more strategic about your meeting attendance can free up a significant amount of time. Time you could be using to work on those 20% tasks that really move the needle, right?
Absolutely. So, to recap, Ferriss's deal framework encourages us to define our ideal lifestyle, eliminate distractions, automate tasks, embrace location independence and mini retirements, and generate passive income. Phew, that's a lot.
It is. But remember, you don't have to do everything at once. Start with one small step.
All right, one step at a time.
Exactly. Maybe it's identifying your top 3 time wasters or exploring one task you could automate or even just daydreaming about where you'd like to spend a mini retirement.
I like that, just starting somewhere.
Exactly. Small steps, taken consistently, can lead to big changes over time. So true. Well, this has been an incredibly eye-opening discussion. So here's a final thought for you, our listeners. What's one tiny action you could take today to start moving towards your own version of the 4-hour work week? We'd love to hear your ideas.
Yeah, share them with us. And be sure to check out the 4-Hour Workweek for yourself if you haven't already. There's so much more in there than we could cover today.
There is. And it's a really fun and engaging read. Until next time, happy designing your dream life.
See you next time.
Bye.